Season 49, War number 11, and the bans for this one are Sim Supreme, White Tiger, and Wiccan, so definitely a very mystic focus this war. But my team is going to be Clairvoyant, Emma Frost, and Mr. Negative, and at this point in the season, we have to win both of our last two wars in order to lock Masters, and the pressure is on me like never before because this is a 9-fight war for me. And I haven't taken a 9-fight war at all this entire tactic, I believe. Maybe I did once last season, but I know for sure this season I have not taken a 9-fight war before. And it's gonna go pretty interestingly. So we're gonna start on Path 2 against the Scorpion, which is mostly a path split placement or a diversity placement. It is a pretty easy fight for Emma because you kind of just get to the SP2 and the Scorpion dies, especially when I'm playing a rank 3 Emma, and the Scorpion is, he is rank 5 ascended, but Scorpion doesn't have a very big health pool, so this is pretty easy. We're about to get to an SP2 with one more combo, and then I'm going to actually bait his SP1 first, get the Dex, and then he can't evade because Emma cannot be evaded in telepath form, one of my favorite things about Emma, and that fight goes down in 21 seconds, so really easy for her. And then next up we're going to be fighting Longshot on node 11, and this is definitely a harder fight than the last one, but it is going to be pretty fine, especially with Negative, because Negative is Nullify immune, so Shatter doesn't really mean anything. The placebo, if I get any placebo on myself, I can just get rid of it by dashing backwards, which does fuel my light energy. And this is going to be interesting, because you see I got unfazed here. And for this fight, that doesn't really matter, because this Longshot isn't the highest rank, and he didn't really punch me too hard. But I somehow fought this one account's defenders 4 times, meaning I fought 4 of his 5 defenders. And only one more time that's going to happen with Negative, but it is something that I do need to be aware of, that, okay, this defender, or this account does have unfazed active, and when I fight that account next, I do need to be 100% aware of this, and possibly change my rotation for when I take the fight. And this is the same account as the last one, but I am taking this fight with Emma Frost, so it doesn't really matter here. And this is a very interesting fight. I would never assign this, ever. But we did determine, me and my co-planner determined that I would be taking Section 2, Path 7, because of the Kingpin on the node that my battle group had been dying to a lot. And we threw me on Path 7 because we knew that my Emma could take it. But that meant that I was going to get blocked by this Sinister, and I couldn't fit a very good counter on my team because I needed Claire, Negs, and Emma. So we came up with the strategy of me using Emma, and in this fight, I'm going to be doing SP3s. Because obviously, SP3s cannot crit, meaning he cannot heal back any damage. The problem is the fact that Emma hits so hard on her basic attacks that once my combo meter continues to go up, he's going to be healing more damage than I am dealing when I crit him. And especially if he rolls a science genetic code, which he did, that means his regen rate is higher. This Sinister is not Sig 200, but it does mean that when I crit him later in the fight, as the more my combo meter goes up, he's going to end up healing more than 100% of the damage back of a crit that I deal to him. Meaning that I need to keep parry heavying in this fight to keep my combo low and only use basic attacks when I need to ramp my prowess for an SP3. That is how I have to take the fight. We decided it was not safe to use Claire or Negative just because of the fact that they have damage over time debuffs, and if Sinister throws his SP1 when I don't want him to, I'm at very high risk of losing a lot of health if not dying. So we did decide Emma was the smartest play, and I just need to do a bunch of parry heavies and again only ramp my prowess when I absolutely have to, and continue with SP3s. And I have a 200% power back, which I don't want to use a 200% power back for a path fight, but considering how threatening this guy is, I decided I needed it, and we were just gonna have to ride with it. So anyway, this Sinister is definitely getting low on health. I am playing this fight really well. I'm trying to anti-bait his special 1 when he does have that bleed on him, I'm blocking SP2s when he is when he's going to throw them, just to not risk the dex. I do know the dex pretty confidently, but in war, I never try to dex a special attack that I know will probably kill me if I mess it up, especially if it's a 3-hit special like Sinister's, or CGR is another example that I usually always block CGR's SP2, even though I know I am pretty good at dexing it. So also, Sinister did roll 2 mutant genetic code, meaning he had a lot more special damage, so getting hit would have absolutely killed me. So that's why we're blocking it, and I soloed the fight, and I'm very happy that I did that, because this was the fight I was most worried about in the entire war. And yeah, it was a path fight that worried me the most this entire war, but we'll get into more of that later. Next up is the Kingpin that I was talking about earlier, that I did have to take because of the fact we had a bunch of people die to this one in previous wars. And it's gonna go, well, you'll see how it goes. We're gonna parry heavy a couple times. I wanted to ramp up my X Magic of Prowess first, just to lock in the fact that he cannot purify. We switch to Diamond form, where we get a bunch of prowess. I'm gonna bait one SP1, then maybe bait a second one, I believe, or am I? No, I'm just going for the kill here. Oh yeah, we get a 70k crit and 164k crit, and he dies in 22 seconds. So that was a really nice Emma fight. I'll take that. Next up is Sasquatch on node 38, and this is another very chaotic fight for me, because I died to this Sasquatch the last time I took him, and look at whose account it is. It is the person who I know has unfazed. So I do need to be 100% aware of that, and instead of using a heavy attack to convert, every time we are going to be using an SP1 to convert, at least our first conversion of light energy to dark energy, because that is one less unfazed I have to risk. Obviously, because of the fact that I'm going for SP3 cycles, I cannot afford to throw 2 SP1s, because I will not have the amount of time to gain enough power to get back to SP3 before my dark energy expires. So I am going to have to evade at least once. So that definitely is a chance of me getting unfazed. However, at least we're minimizing it by throwing the special attack. So here I am trying to get him to go into Wrath before I throw my special 3. That way he loses all of his protection capabilities, and I got unfazed. Luckily, he did not hit me very hard, and we only lost a little bit more than 20% of my health. I bait his special attack, and here I'm going to go for SP3 as soon as he throws his heavy attack. I'm at 74%, he's at 83, but he's going to go all the way down to, I believe, 36 after this SP3, just because of the direct damage that it deals afterwards. So, let's see what happens. Yes, he is down to 36. Okay, so that's one SP3. I knew going into this that I would need 2 SP3s, because it's a rank 3 Sasquatch. This is literally the biggest health pool that you could possibly acquire in the game. So I knew I was going to need 2 SP3s, even though I'm playing a rank 3 negative. And we're going to get one more cycle of light energy, and then I'm going to throw my SP1. That is 1 conversion. I'm going to need a second conversion once I get closer to 3 bars. I'm trying not to parry too much at this point, because I don't want to reach 9 or 10 light energy too fast. So I'm going to bait this guy's special attack, then we're going to do a couple intercepts just so I don't have to well-time block. And he is definitely healing. That is a lot of healing, and we're barely doing any damage because protection is up. So I do need to be aware of that, but once I get to an SP3, I'm confident that's going to kill when I line it up right. And this is my favorite part. He is in Wrath when he's supposed to be ultra mega aggressive. He is in Wrath. And still he does not run into my evade. Still. That's exactly how I died the last time I fought this Sasquatch. He has one of the most aggressive AIs in the entire game when he's in Wrath. He still does not run into my heavy attack. I don't even understand how it can possibly go like this anymore. This only ever happens to be in Alliance War 2. In Battlegrounds, usually, like 90% of the time, I never have issues with this. Luckily, I killed him, but I cannot express how pissed off I am when your AI is supposed to be more aggressive than usual, and they still don't dash into my negative evade. Like, you've actually got to be kidding me. But Okay, it doesn't matter. I soloed the fight. If I died there, that would have been the most pissed off I've ever been about a fight in War. Especially since I died to that fight the last time I took it, and before the time I died to it, I had never died with negative in War, and took that 38 Sasquatch at least 8 times before this season, or before the time I died to it. So anyway, we're going to be using Emma against this Baron Zemo on node 41. This is basically the best placement for Zemo on the map, other than some of the hazard shift nodes. But Emma is going to do a really good job here. We throw my SP2 with minimal prowess and still do over 150k in damage. And here I push him to his SP2. I am good at dexing it, but the problem is with me dexing it, that means I just lost all my X Magicka prowess, so blessing and a curse there. I'm trying to get him to dash back or just be passive while I'm rooted. It's okay though. We're going to build back to another SP2 and actually kill him before we even throw the SP2 with the relic like that. So really, really easy fight. 43-second takedown. I don't even think I had power backs active for that one. Because if I activated power backs, I would have had to replace them immediately, because now it's time for the clairvoyant fights. Starting with Gorr on node 44. And I died to this fight last season. I had it down and then made a silly mistake, and then I caused a death with him at very low health. I am going to speed this fight up because it's very long. This is a very long fight, and I'm still trying to figure out what is the correct strategy for this guy. I don't know if power bags is a blessing or a curse, because of the fact I go red so many times in this fight when I don't want to. Maybe that means I need to run lower Mystic Dispersion, but also at the same time Mystic Dispersion is super helpful in this fight sometimes. So I really don't know exactly what would have been smarter, but we're going to stick to Poison Curse for the first part of the fight. I sped the fight up when I'm in Poison Curse, and I'm going to break down a little bit of what's happening in my mind as it happens. Here I'm feeling relatively okay, but then I notice how much healing he's getting because of the poisons that I gave him. So we started healing a bit, and now he's back up to 67 before throwing that special 3. Now he's down to 61, but the problem is I don't have any of my clairvoyance charges. I can't nullify him. The only way I can get them back is by being immune to a hazard shift node. And in my head at this point, I was like, okay, I've lost half my fight timer. I need to speed this up. I am switching to my Incinerate Curse. Originally, I wanted to power control him to death, but I realized I can't afford to do that because of the fact that this fight's taking so long, and when he gets his regen, it is bad for me, like really bad for me, because of how much his regen gets, especially when he's at lower health. So this SP3 is going to bring him all the way down to, I believe, 17%, and no, 14 actually. And we're going to go back in. He does have his regen buff, which is very annoying, but I need him to throw his special 1, but the healing, he's just going back up, and now I need to get to my SP2. I'm immune to stuff from Hazard Shift, and now I'm at red. Now I'm red again. And I'm like, oh no, dude, I needed that SP2. That would have killed him if I could get the SP2, and it removed his buffs, and it would have removed his regen. And so here I'm like, okay, I need this SP3 to do a good bit of damage, but I don't have any clairvoyance charges, so it really isn't going to. Okay, so this is going to push him to 7%. I have a minute left on the fight timer. I still have to deal with his potent regen when he's at really low health. Look at him healing back. It's a lot. Luckily, I'm going to go to my SP2, and he's going to die with a minute left on the clock to spare. So I don't like that matchup at all, even though I should have soloed it last season, and I died because of a silly mistake. I don't know if I'd assign myself that one again. It was not a very good time, but also I probably could do it again, but there are probably better options I could have given myself. Me and my co-planner could have worked out, but either way, that fight's over, and I'm just glad it's over. So next up is Super Skrull on node 46. I do believe this is the scariest placement for Super Skrull on the entire map, and it's gonna it's something. So we're gonna go with the strategy of just power controlling him to death, and it's not a bad strategy at all because of the fact that the big threat of this fight is him throwing an SP2, and because of the fact it's unblockable, you basically just get instantly hit by it. So I am going red here intentionally because I wanted to drop off my clairvoyance charges, and I knew it does a massive amount of damage. So with power backs, I am going to be pretty close to an SP2 after the special attack ends. He's down to 44%. I bait an SP1, he throws it, and we're going back in. I need to get to my special 2 as fast as I can, and he has a good bit of buffs right now, meaning that once I nullify them, I am going to gain a big burst of power. We're going to throw my SP2 here, and we're going to go red, which is fine, but I made a very critical error, and that error was not baiting his special 1 before I threw my special 3. And you're going to see why that was terrible right here. I was blocking, he threw his SP2, and now I'm incinerated. And I can't switch to my incinerate curse because I saw the falter was coming back. So here, I have to just hope and pray this SP3 kills him, or else I am going to die. Because of the fact that I did not line myself up properly, and I couldn't switch to incinerate curse, because of the fact that that falter was coming back. But luckily, the SP3 did enough damage to kill him. That was a mild heart attack right there, and I am so glad that I soloed that fight, because I almost should have died. I did not play that right. If I baited that SP1 before that SP3, I would have been fine. I would have never gotten hit by the SP2. Totally my fault for doing that. Massive brain fart, but luckily it didn't bite me in the butt, so we're okay. We just have one more fight in this war, one more fight, and then I have a 9-fight, 9-solo war. So, it's against this Nick Fury on node 48. I don't think I've seen this placement before. It is a very interesting one, and I don't think it's a bad placement at all. But we're going to see how Emma does it. We have a lot of prowess pretty much immediately. We're going to go for an SP2. I only have 150% power backs. And I'm actually glad I only ran 150% power backs, because 200% would have been way too much. And you're going to see, you just saw how much power back I got from that, you saw how much power back I got from that first SP2. So if I would have went red there, I'm losing a lot of damage, because a lot of Emma's damage comes from the yellow numbers on the special attack. So here I throw another SP2, I don't get a crit, but luckily he's going to die with this last SP2, and that is going to be my 9-fight war. Emma destruction, Claire destroyed her minis, Negative destroyed his fights. One of my favorite wars I've ever taken, and one of the cleanest wars I've ever had too. Unfortunately, we did lose the war. It's still going on, but it is over. 3 of our deaths do not count, so we actually have basically 23 deaths instead of 26 because of the attack bonus rule. But that means we did lose Masters, and that is incredibly disappointing, especially with how well I played and how well my battle group did. My battle group only gave 3 deaths, and I'm really proud of them, but it all came down to the other ones, and it didn't work out too well for us. So yeah, it's unfortunate that we did lose Masters because of that. After this war, our record is going to be 5-6. We were so close, but it's okay. Plat 1 is fine, even though we did have a very, very good chance of winning Masters if we could have won these last 2 wars. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.